everyone, my name is Ashley Rochlow and I'm a registered massage therapist at the Back to Health Wellness Center. Today what I'd like to talk to you about is the lymphatic system that we have in our body, lymphatic massage and its benefits and reasons to get lymphatic massage, and also the importance of the lymphatic system in our overall health and wellness. So before we delve too much into lymphatic massage and what it is, we're going to touch base today a little bit on the lymphatic system, what it incorporates, why it's beneficial, and what can happen in our body if, say for instance, the lymphatic system is being run down or overworked. So the lymphatic system is actually a very important part of our body. It's kind of like a security system in a house. It's a great example for it. It usually runs in behind the scenes, something that we're not overly aware of unless we're, say, sick, we've got a fever, and we can usually feel tenderness in, say, our lymph nodes in our neck or underneath our arms, or say we're feeling really achy or sore. That's usually the only time that we notice that the lymphatic system may be working a little bit harder than usual. But it's always constantly working, it's always there, and it's helping us to stay healthy and to prevent anything from, say, viruses or bacteria getting caught in our body. So the lymphatic system, what is it? So I'm going to be using the whiteboard today to kind of demonstrate a little bit of a couple diagrams just to sort of reiterate what we're talking about today. So lymphatic vessels, more or less, we have vessels and we have nodes. Very much like our circulatory system. The only difference between the lymphatic system and the circulatory system in that regard is that the circulatory system, which is the system that moves our blood around, has our heart, which is a really big giant pump that keeps things moving, almost just like a pool. We have a pump for our pool that keeps things circulating. Our lymphatic system, however, doesn't really have that. So a lot of the time our lymphatic system will focus on muscle movement, contractions in the muscle to keep lymphatic fluid moving properly, changes in pressure in our body, so a lot of deep breathing, or meditation can help to keep the lymphatic system moving. A lot of the time though, it's just very subtle things. So lymphatic nodes are key termini in our body, almost like a bus system. We've got, our main stops here in Ottawa, like Herdman Station. Usually they're the focal point areas where a lot of traffic happens, very much the same like our lymphatic system. So we've got the nodes, which are our main termini in our body, and they kind of are shaped like this. And a lot of the time, they'll pick up any extra fluid that we have, check it, make sure that there's no bacteria, no viruses, nothing that shouldn't be in our body that is there. And if everything's okay in these nodes, then they'll keep fluiding through the different vessels that we have onward and upward to other areas that could be detoxified, say like our kidneys, our liver, so on and so forth. So where a lot of these termini or key lymph nodes are, say, will be in our neck. So if we're feeling sick, that'll be the first place we might feel that we've got a cold or that our body is fighting something. Other places will be right near our collarbone, which are actually called the termini. It's the main area where the lymph nodes will eventually drain back into our main system. And the reason why our termini are so important is because our lymphatic system is actually very closely tied with our circulatory system. Fluids, always making sure that things are cleansed and detoxified. So usually if our lymph nodes are going to be cleansing, they're going to be going back right here towards, close to where the heart is. We've also got lymph nodes in and around our armpits or our axillary area. We've got a lot of lymph nodes in and along close to the spinal column, and also right in the inguinal area or close to where our pelvic bone is. And then it also travels down. So we've got the vessels that go down like so, and everything is always traveling like this. We've got some in our knees as well. The importance of this, and the reason why we would normally get lymphatic massage, is because what can happen if we're sick a lot, if we're taking antibiotics, if, say for instance, our muscles are really tight, it has a harder time traveling all the way back up. So if you think about it, when we have our blood vessels actually naturally, if I'm going to draw a blood vessel here, imagine this is a blood vessel. With our blood vessels actually have little valves, back valves. So if, say for instance, our blood is pumping through these valves, if it starts to trickle back down against gravity, these little valves will actually block some of that from back flowing and keep it moving up and onwards towards the heart. Again, to reiterate though, our lymphatic vessels aren't the same. They're not going to have that backup support system. So what is important about lymphatic massage is what we do as massage therapists is we help those vessels, that lymphatic flow, to keep moving on and upward. A good example of this is, say for instance, if you've ever sprained your ankle or had an injury, maybe at your knee, and all of a sudden you start getting fluid in your ankle and you're like, I didn't do anything, or why is that swelling staying there for so long and it's not moving? That's because the lymphatic system is having a harder time returning that to the main lymphatic flow all the way up here because it's having a harder time going against gravity, or you might not be moving it or putting pressure on it. So again, lymphatic massage would be really important to just try and get that flow all the way back up towards the lymphatic nodes and back into our circulatory system to be cleansed and to be moved. So another key important thing too about lymphatic massage, lymphatic drainage, is muscle contractions. So when we have lymphatic flow here, it'll normally just maybe sit here, it might flow really slowly, but what happens is if, say for instance, this is the bicep, and we move it, we contract those muscles, we're actually squeezing that lymphatic flow. We're squeezing it onward and upward. Almost like a train, we're propelling that lymphatic flow back upward. So it's also very important too that if you're noticing you have a lot of lymphatic congestion, to keep moving. Even if it's very slight, very slow, meticulous movements, that'll help to keep flow up. So this is also something that we focus on with lymphatic massage, is to keep the body moving. Very slight, slow, active movements. So a lot of the time when we see patients, particularly in, for lymphatic massage or in the clinic, a lot of the time it could be for injuries, whether it's sports related, running related, any form of activity. If there's a lot of swelling or bruising, that's one great benefit for lymphatic massage. Another benefit would be someone who might have an immune system that's compromised, so maybe Lyme's disease, any form of, HIV, a harder time to get those lymphatic nodes circulating, and not only that, but if the immune system is having a harder time as it is, the lymphatic system in turn too will be working harder all the time, and it will get really run down, and sometimes we won't even notice it getting run down because we don't normally go checking around. We usually wait for doctors or a medical health professional to let us know what's going on. So it's another thing too that if you do work with a massage therapist or a healthcare practitioner, to ask about that. Always ask questions and see if maybe your lymphatic system is having a little bit of a harder time, especially in cold, flu season, allergy season, and again, or if you're immune compromised or have an injury. So that is something too that we would talk to you about as well as massage therapists here in the clinic. So what is lymphatic massage? Lymphatic massage isn't necessarily like your average massage, like a deep tissue or more stretching based. Lymphatic massage is actually a very light massage because it's focusing on fluid movement. So a lot of the time, we'll check with the person that we're working with, see their areas of concern, why they might be retaining a little bit more fluid than usual, again, whether it's an injury or something else. And then what we do is we would work together with an analysis, so checking to see what the girth of that fluid might be, what tasks that might be interfering with. And then what we would do is we would do the lymphatic massage, which is again very light, focusing on making the termini a little bit alleviated. Again, if they build in pressure, what will happen is if there's too much fluid, a good analogy would be, think of it like your car. So in the winter time, we have oil in our car that keeps a lot of our mechanisms moving. What happens in the winter time though is because of the cold, the fluid or the oil won't necessarily move. It gets really gunked up and has a harder time getting through to all the bearings, all the axles in the car. Very similar to the lymphatic system. So what happens is when that gets gummed up, the first thing you would do is you would run your car maybe a little bit to get that fluid warm and moving before you would actually start driving. It's very similar with lymphatic massage. So what we would do is we would actually get into the nodes that are a little bit gummed up. We go in there, we do a lot of pumping, a lot of movement, and as massage therapists we can feel when lymphatic nodes are a little bit extra swollen or having a harder time. And then what we do is, again, by pumping those termini, we move the fluid out and up so that it has a place to go and it returns back to the system, and it just helps to boost that system a little bit as well. So a lot of the time too, we will follow that up with nice passive movement and then check the overall system afterward to see how much fluid has been moved. And a lot of the times patients will say they feel lighter, they feel better. They might feel like they're really thirsty, and that's very common as well. So we'll have a link in the description below, a little bit more about lymphatic massage, what it entails. So please click the link below, or if you have any questions, please feel free to email me at ashley@and that's backtohealthforyou.com. Also, we'll have that in the description below. Again, my name is Ashley Rocheleau. I'm very happy to talk to you about this today. Thanks for tuning in. Until next time.